what are the possible causes? So who had P? Were you the P group? All right.
So we looked at a lot of her, like the disease part.
Right.
And her stroke, how that would affect. So part of it was her vision to approach her from the one.
Okay, hold on. So very interesting. This is where we all go, right? Where is she going? We're going to question 3, the actions. We're really digging into what are the possible causes. So you're interested in the stroke. Anything about the stroke, or as things have changed, is there anything about that that concerns you? Anybody else? Could she have had a new stroke? Right? Could she be having a new event that might be precipitating some of this behavior? Right? Right. Okay. What else?
The drugs, the Ativan could be disinhibiting her at times, so I don't know how much of that she's getting, but we should probably have a good look at that.
Right. So her medications. Yeah. What else do you know about medications? What do you know about how she feels about her medications?
So take them.
Yeah, she doesn't like it. She doesn't really want it. So it's a perfect opportunity to go, have a look at the medications for sure. Right. What else? What about discomfort?
Well, if she's not taking her Tylenol, she's probably having some arthritis pain.
So the Tylenol is, how's that order written? PRN. How likely do you think Ellen is to sort of quietly say, excuse me, dear, I'm having some pain. Could I get, no. No. So you're certainly going to want to be looking at, how is her pain control? And then in terms of disability, you mentioned, what did you notice in terms of the video when one woman came in from the left side? I'm not sure if this was, what happened? She went, right? Question is, you might want to be looking, does she have visual field defect, which has been, we just haven't noticed or haven't addressed. Okay. So rule out delirium but we kind of don't have a big feel that it's delirium, and her sleep pattern is fine, but again, it needs to be on our radar. And then, so this just sort of covers the things we were talking about: a new CVA, pain, her diabetes management. She hates taking meds, so review the need. And as you said, look at how much she's actually using of that lorazepam PRN, and then assess for pain verbally and non-verbally. And we have good tools for that are on the BPSD algorithm and that are part of P.I.E.C.E.S. It is important to mark that she isn't wearing the hearing aid and she refuses, and that might be a possible contributor to some of her irritability. Okay, who had I? Go ahead.
So we thought memory, yes, just from her medical history, that she has executive dysfunction and short-term memory impairment, so yes to that. Aphasia, language, yes. Looks like she has mild expressive aphasia.
Right.
Apathy, here we were a little bit confused because it says that there's no change in her participation in activities, but yet as part of the mixed dementia, she has apathy. So we're going to say yes to that.
Okay. So that could be, that, yes, she's still participating in activities, but she needs you to initiate for her. So yes, so she does have apathy, and as long as that's built into the care plan, right? Anything else?
Nausea, we're not sure because, it might be more of a relationship kind of difficulty. So we can't really say much about that.
Right. And apraxia?
Yes, she's needing help with her ADLs. It doesn't say which ADL, so.
Right, or why she needs help with the ADLs, but it's a good question, right? So we might be interested in looking at that further. Anosognosia I didn't touch on. Anosognosia is simply the lack of insight into having an illness or needing any help. Do we know with her whether that might be precipitating some of the issues?
Well, she wants to go out, so whether there's insight as to why she's there, whether she needs to be there, whether she's resistant to being there.
Right, so it's a really good issue to make sure we're thinking about in terms of planning care for her. Right, and then altered perception?
Yeah, we thought the hearing and the visual, maybe there's a perceptual
component
to that.
Well, and she's got the macular degeneration.
Right, so that's going to potentially contribute to, so we want to be sure we think about that and make sure she has what she needs. Oh, so we did it all together. Okay, what about emotional?
So we had a few things. Some of them kind of overlap a little bit with some of the environmental stuff.
Right.
So like this sort of an adjustment, thinking that, what has changed, that she's having trouble adjusting to? Is it a new roommate, a new caretaker? Is there some person she doesn't interact with? Talking about family visits, that sort of her family members stop coming maybe?
Right, right. So your question though is, could this be related to a significant change that has occurred somewhere, and we'll talk about where it might have occurred, but is this a depressive, does she seem to be having a reaction to something within the environment that's throwing her off emotionally? So that would be an adjustment disorder, right? Okay. And anything else? Yeah, she could have an atypical depression, and very important, because people who are sharp-tongued and kind of irritable, their depressions often get missed because they get more irritable. And so you would be looking at, but her sleep looks pretty good, and it says that she's still eating well. So, you know, but good. It's something that we certainly want to dig into. So what about C, her capabilities?
So, well, she's very dependent for her ADLs, and
Right.
it sounds like she's been a very independent woman. It doesn't sound like that changed recently. It's been like that since she's been in, but she's not wearing her hearing aids, so we're probably having difficulties with communication.
Right.
We wondered if she was developing a little bit of receptive
Difficulties?
so communication's a problem. What else?
You said timing of some of the ADLs or IADLs maybe not convenient for her, and she really valued her her appearance, and in this video she's wearing her house coat, so if she's not getting dressed, that may be a big issue for her.
Right, so how much? And so it's very interesting, because on the one hand she may really like to look nice, but if she's not letting people help her, then she doesn't get what she actually needs. And can we use that in some way in terms of designing the support plan? So it's an excellent point. And communication. Yeah, that's right. Okay, who had the E? Did you guys? Yes.
So we thought that she could be both over and understimulated, so very different from living at home on your own. So lots more noise, lots more people, lots of staff coming in at probably random times. Could be understimulated by her social environment with the other residents. Lots of changes in routine. It doesn't seem like things are happening when she'd like them to. Can't go to bed at 11 when she likes. She's not getting dressed in the morning, which was probably a big part of her day. We don't know what her preferences are for lighting, colors, temperature, but it looked like kind of the pretty standard, bland, beige-toned everything. For a lady who is very into gardening and had a beautiful garden, it's probably not her ideal environment.
Right, right.
And then she's now essentially restrained in her wheelchair, so she's not.
So when you say she's in a wheelchair. Trained, but she's restrained in terms of not being able to walk.
Right. And she was verbally exit seeking, saying she wants to go outside, but doesn't seem to have that ability, so that restrained into the facility now.
Right. So you can see that the environment stuff is very rich in this particular, and you caught an awful lot of it. So thank you. So that's great. And there are a lot of things we don't know. Right, that we don't know about, staff factors. We don't know about changes that have happened in the routine, but all of that is, certainly in there. Great, thank you. And the S group?
Yep. So from a social perspective, her social network, she's coming from a place where her daughter is kind of taking a step out of the picture. It doesn't sound like they were getting along well. She comes from a divorced marriage, a few friends it mentions there, and now we've kind of thrust her in an environment which is a lot more social than what she's probably used to. So she's got a lot more stressors around. She's probably used to being in a lot more socially isolated situation than she's in now. So that's something to look at. And then likewise, her background, she's well-educated, wealthy, very independent, and we've kind of stripped a lot of that away from her, and now she's in an environment where it's kind of same across the board. And
Yeah, everybody gets the same, and she's always been special.
yeah, and then I think a couple other things were already touched on, but she's got some staff favorites, and it'd be interesting to see why it is that socially or.
And why else is that useful?
Yeah, so one, you could see what it is about those staff that they're doing that's the right thing, and number two, trying to maybe implement them more in the schedule with her.
Right, so I mean, and at this point, where we're looking at causes, it's about picking their brain, right? It's about seeing, and inevitably, no matter the gentleman who's yelling for 19 hours, there may be some people with whom it's a little bit less. So you want to know, and what happens oftentimes for those people is they don't know that they're doing anything special. They're just doing what they naturally do. And so you have to ask them to start being aware of the little things that you're saying, or the little things that you're doing, so we can capture them for everybody, because it's going to be something the rest of us are going to have to learn. So intellectually, you've got, yes, she had some amnesia. She may have some agnosia, lack of insight, certainly some judgment difficulties. Emotionally, we didn't see any psychosis. She's definitely got irritability, wondering about depression. And then these long-standing narcissistic personality traits that are important to recognize and think about how we can work with them to the best ability, and knowing that they're probably more so now that she has the dementia. Then also talking about, her capabilities, and, so have these abilities changed? So we kind of know that she's always had some, she's always been dependent, but is there something different now? Maybe staff who, if there are new staff, or the people who haven't read the care plan, or what's going on. Sometimes, wholesale changes in teams that are looking after the person can be a big trigger. And the communication is huge, so making sure we really delve into that. In the environment, you've got it, the over and under stimulation, both at the same time, and then the possible change in routine. We don't know about lighting, but the colors, the observations were great about the kind of the venue. And also just the fact that, as you said, she loves to be beautifully dressed, but she certainly doesn't look like right now. Something's getting in the way of that, and it could be her that's getting in the way of that. And then looking at the staff factors for sure. What did you see? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna go back to the gardening thing too. The fact that she's asking to go out, the staff seem to be perceiving that as I want to escape, I want to leave the facility. But if she spent a large portion of her privileged adult life outside gardening, she might just want to go outside.
So clarifying, right? It's fascinating how little conversation happens in trying to understand why someone's behaving in a certain way. They document it all about what, they document what happens, and sometimes it's more or less useful, the documentation. But did anybody actually sit down with Ellen and say, hey, Ellen, you seem like you're having a really rough time. What's going on for you? And dollars to donuts, that assessment may not have happened. So, and wonderful point is, I want to go out. And so that sounds like an irritable out. It's like, oh, get out of here. I want to get out of here. But really, what does that actually mean? So making sure that we understand what she's actually trying to say. Thank you so much for that. She appreciates that, by the way. And then in the social realm, she's pointed out very independent and proud, appearance focused. So even if she refuses to get dressed, how could we maybe, well, we'll get to that. I get so excited, sorry. Long-standing, sort of quick to judge and criticize. See, even me, right? We all move to stage 3 very quickly, which is what are the answers? So we all have to slow ourselves down. We want to know whether there's some early trauma and whether that's starting to play a part. The relationship with her daughter is strained. It doesn't mean it always has to be that way. Perhaps we need to know what it is that the daughter is finding stressful in order to know how we might be able to assist her to re-engage. And then she loves the garden. So there you go, and being outside. So we don't know whether she's actually having opportunities for that.